Hey, I'm DJ.
David.
This is the Hairy Knuckle Podcast. Our third episode.
We made it.
Our third one.
What was the stat? Most podcasts don't get past the second
episode. Yeah. Maybe it's 3.
Was it 3?
Yeah.
Like 90% or something crazy like that?
Yeah, it's a high number. So like if you get past the third, you're like the top 90 percentile of all podcasts. So we'll know after 4. Maybe it's 2. I don't know. Anyway, we're close.
So we're ahead of the curve right now.
A little bit.
This mic is getting a little problems.
Yeah.
So let's adjust it here.
So we took a break, went and had dinner, and we were talking about things we want to address in this next one. While we're at it, if you guys have any ideas that you want us to tackle or discuss, or eventually want to join us and have a discussion with us while we're here, or even remotely, we'd love to do that with you. So, let us know of any ideas. No subject is off the table.
Yeah. Hopefully, eventually we can get to the point where people actually care about us, but
yeah,
for now they don't. Tall white dude and crazy-haired Afghan-looking dude. So
yeah.
So let me pull this up.
Men and women have too much control over preferences. They don't know what they want. So yeah, on a dating app,
we're going back to dating. Yeah. So I think
what did you mean by that? Like you brought that up during dinner. Yeah. So why do women and men have too many controls? Why do you think they have too many controls over their preferences? And why is that a bad thing?
Well, I think on dating apps, they think that, I think their reasoning is that preferences, that the individuals that are dating know what they want. That's a presupposition that they're basing it off of, right? People know what they want. When in actuality, if you look at the research, and we can put up some links to some of the
we'll include them. We'll include them in
some of the research that we use, but it shows that they actually don't know what they want. And so if you're asking somebody, here are the preferences, what metrics are you looking for in a partner? I think you can really skew the matches that they get. So for example, women that put up the fact that they want a man that's 6 foot and above, right? Yeah. What that is, it's a disqualifier. Yeah. Because they're overwhelmed with so many matches, they use that as a way of disqualifying the majority of matches and narrowing it down. When in actuality, the majority of women would not be able to tell a difference between a dude that's 5'11", 6 foot, 6'1", right?
I mean, what was this? There's a statistic on that. Like most women,
no, they can't tell the difference. They just can't. That's the stat, right?
No, well, there's statistics. There is a statistics on that, but I don't remember what the number is. But they can't tell over.
Right, they can't. So that's the point. Is they just can't tell the difference. And so if you're allowing them to put a disqualifier like that on a dating app, there might be a guy that's perfect for them, that's 5'11", that they would not be able to tell the fucking difference, and they're essentially disqualifying that guy. It makes sense because they're getting so many matches, and these swipe-based apps have not been able to figure out how to solve that problem.
Right.
That women are getting way too many matches, and it's hard for them to filter through and choose the type of match that you want. And that's where, I think that we've really excelled.
Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's a big part of it. Just not knowing the type of person that they want to be with. And I think a lot of men, like we said before, they are visualizers, right? We're visual creatures. And so we think that we want to be with a very, very beautiful woman. Every man wants to be with a beautiful woman, but we disqualify women that might be an incredible match for us based on shared values or characteristics. And we're disqualifying them because they might not be up to that par, that bar that we've set as far as appearance. Whereas there's so many other things that go into it. So men are doing the same thing. They're disqualifying women simply because they don't like the fact that they have a nose ring, or the fact that they have tattoos, or the fact that they have this or that or this. Right. When in actuality, if you look at the aggregate person, and you consider values, and you consider all of those others shared characteristics, then they might be a much better match.
So men and women are very good at disqualifying each other, having their dream list.
Not very good. They're terrible at it. They're terrible. That's what we're saying.
No, they're good. They're good at disqualifying each other.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, not qualifying each
Not
other.
did I say disqualifying? I don't know.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah.
I meant disqualifying.
I don't think they're good at it. I don't. They do it to narrow it down. But I don't think they know. But the point is, they don't know what they want. So why are we allowing them to do that?
But we do allow them. No, we don't. Do we in Orra?
No, with Orra, it's like
there's a little bit there, but not like
the only things that are there in Orra are the ones that the research and the studies show.
The evolutionary psychology.
Yeah. So, for example, the height thing, right? Okay, if a woman's 5'2" and she's putting a disqualifier as I want a 6 foot and above, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
The research shows as long as the guy is taller than her, right, a few inches taller than her, that will suffice. Right. We're not gonna set her up with. So what Orra does is the algorithm never sets up that 5'2" foot woman with a dude that's 4'8".
Right.
That's not going to happen with a midget. So she's always going to be set up with guys that are taller than her, but not allow her the unrealistic preference of only filtering for men that are 6 foot and above when there's just nothing that goes to show that that's really what they want. They don't. That's just a disqualifier. It's a way for them to filter out through the entire chaos and mess of all of these guys. If you say 6 foot and above, that eliminates 85% of the matches.
Right.
So that she's left with select few.
Well, and it kind of goes off of, I mean, that's kind of like the cliche. Every woman that says they want a guy that's 6 foot, right? And it reminds me of what Orion Taraban had mentioned in Psychax, is that what does a woman want? Well, a woman wants what a woman wants. This was his answer. And then he also said, what else does a woman want? Well, women want what other women want, and they're, and I think the same could be applied to men to an extent. So if one woman says she wants a 6 foot guy, well, the next woman's going to want to say the same thing just because this woman A said that.
The woman that wants a 6 foot guy is the woman that's 5'11".
Yeah.
She's the one that needs a 6 foot guy because the evidence shows that those women prefer men that are taller than them. That women prefer men that are taller than them. And the only reason we're saying that is because that's what the studies show. If the studies didn't show that, we would never filter for that. So what Orra does is it always, if the evidence supports it, that's who it sets you up with. So for example, if a woman makes considerable more money than the man, research shows that that's typically not a relationship that's going to last because the masculine feminine dynamics are skewed. They're not where they should be, right?
Right.
Masculine needs to lead. And in order to lead, you need to be the one providing resources. There are exceptions, and of course, we're not against that. We're not against that. There are times where that can work, where there's an understanding for whatever reason. But the majority is, the research shows that typically, as a general rule, the man will need to make more than the woman in order to provide essentially proof that he is a capable male that can provide security and protection, right? And in order to do that, he needs to provide resources. In today's modern world, resources is income.
Right.
It's income, it's status, it's influence. So that's why women sort of filter for that. And we support that. So in Orra, as a general rule, women will not be matched with men that make less than them. We don't do that. Right. So you're never matched. You won't even encounter those type of men.
Right.
Unless over time we have values-based questions.
Right. We values dictate what the AI should be.
Yeah, over time, like the women that don't really care for that. And there are some that don't. But again, I hate being in the business of exceptions.
No.
One-offs, right?
Right. Yeah. I mean, you can't base that, especially when it comes to things like evolutionary psychology, you can't base it off of an exception.
No, you can't.
And I think even if a woman is being honest with herself and she's making multiple millions a year, she's still going to want a man. Ideally, her ideal man would make more than her. You know what I mean? And have higher status.
That pool.
We're talking about ideally. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that pool of men is going to be smaller and smaller, right?
Yeah.
If you're a woman that's making millions, that pool of men that you're going to be interested in, or let's say that not interested in, that pool of men that would be a good partner in a long-term relationship is going to be smaller and smaller and smaller the more money you make, because now you're in a pool of highly particular men that account for less than 1%, right?
Right. Well, it's the entire conversation around Beyonce, right? And
Who's her husband's name again?
Jay-Z.
Jay-Z.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jay-Z's a billionaire, right?
Sean Carter. Yeah.
Yeah.
He was a billionaire. He is.
And Beyonce could never replace it.
I think she could, but for the most part,
not ideally.
Not ideal. Yeah.
Yeah.
It'd be difficult.
Right.
And then at this point where she's, a mother and she's older and she's not as relevant as she was 10 years ago.
Still beautiful though. She's an exception to the rule though.
I prefer, I prefer the other Destiny's Child over Beyonce.
Yeah, Adam.
What's that?
I can't remember her name.
Yeah, no, that's the problem. It's because literally her name is Carrie. In the comments, tell us. You guys know what I'm talking about. She sings Ice. She sings Dirty Laundry.
Yeah.
It's like Carrie Wilson, I think is her name.
I'm not Googling this. I'm just trying to keep us on track.
You should Google it because now I want to know. I listen to her all the time. I think it's Carrie something. Honestly, I prefer her because Beyonce is she's this caricature of literally what's wrong with that narrative.
Caricature?
Caricature. Yeah.
That's interesting. This isn't it, don't you pronounce it caricature?
I mean, you could say caricature.
Are we English?
We're English. Caricature. Now you're correcting my pronunciation.
Well, I'm the one who's going every other word.
Caricature.
I'm trying to eliminate
caricature.
That. Yeah.
It's Carrie Hilson or something like that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I actually prefer her. I think she's just more put together, and she's more anti-narrative, whereas Beyonce is like everything what's wrong.
Yeah, on that note, like talking about the narrative, excuse me, one of the things that you mentioned while we're having dinner is everybody seems to be non-committal right now in the dating market, right?
Right.
Why do you think that is?
So being non-committal, I think is different. That whole thing is different for men as it is women. With women, they have a tremendous amount of flexibility right now, right?
Oh yeah.
The dating market is, if they're looking to settle down within a less than ideal mate, right? That's thoroughly available because, as we talked about, 90% of those men that are not top 10%, right? The 90 other percent,
right?
They're put in a position where they don't have access to a lot of high quality females. So if those high quality females decide to settle in their minds, it's settling, but it's not really settling, but in their minds it is because they're not getting top 10. If they're settling for those types of males, they're available. Now, if those same quality females don't want to settle and they want to explore and have fun and adventures and fuck around with the top 10%, they also have that flexibility.
Right.
So they have this tremendous amount of, I could have my cake and I can eat it too. I can be at the top percent men. I could pay attention to that and I can go that route. Or if I'm 34 and I want to settle down, I can find these types of males. So it's the fact that there's just so many options for them on where to go. Whereas those 90% men, the whole narrative that we talked about earlier, how society, music and Hollywood and everything pushes that narrative where those 90% of men that don't have access to all those females, they're literally left out of that narrative.
Right.
That narrative doesn't have a storyline from them for them. So they're literally the ones that are suffering. They're the ones that are betas now. They're the ones that are simping. They're the ones that are paying for OnlyFans. They're the ones following the half naked women on Instagram. Mm-hmm. They're the ones that are really just perpetuating the problem because as a society, we've made the decision that those men are not important. What are the depression rates in those men? What are the offing yourself rates for those men?
Yeah.
What are those men don't have a place.
Do you think obviously it's part of culture, but do you think it's also that we've gotten to a place as a culture where we're not holding other men accountable like we used to? I know our friendship, we hold each other accountable.
I think men are held too accountable right now.
Too accountable.
Well, that's because, like we said, the aspiration is to be that top 10% guy, right? Well, what does that guy need to do? He needs to have an incredibly paying job, 6 figures or above. He needs to be 6 feet tall. He needs to fucking have an education.
I totally get that.
He needs to be fit. Like the accountability that men need to have for themselves is incredibly high. But I think the bar is set a little bit lower for women right now. A little bit lower. And that's unfortunate because it's just not an even playing field. It is later. And later when women start getting a little bit older, then, life starts catching up to them and they need to start making more concrete decisions. Being in between and being unsure is not like you're either all about your career and traveling and focusing on yourself, or you're about family and finding somebody that's dedicated and doing that. Like there's a point where you need to choose what you want to do as a woman, right?
Right.
And that typically comes late 20s, early 30s, and whichever way they go, that's up to them. But I think there's a crossroads where they finally need to make a decision. Whereas men, they can be left at the same fucking position. They don't have that crossroads. You could be that man that just never makes the amount of money that you should, and you can just have that one road. That's where you're simping for the rest of your fucking life.
Yeah, but they're not happy. And I think a lot of men have fallen off of the bandwagon, but they've not taken care of themselves. They're still, they're overweight. They're really not putting in the effort. Yeah, and I think that's when I say my opinion on this a little bit is that men aren't holding other men to accountable, or they just don't care. Maybe it's both. Maybe it's a mixture. I don't know.
I think that I don't know. I have a different opinion on that. I think that if you look like 20 years ago, even.
No, I think men like you and I, we hold each other to a higher standard.
Yeah, but I mean,
way high, probably unrealistic.
Right. But if you look at even 20 years ago, right? Like, what did our fathers need to do to get a good quality feminine women?
Literally, my dad.
Yeah.
Put my mom on the ground and sat on her. He said, "I will only get up if you agree to marry me." And then, and then they eloped to Elko, Nevada, and they were married till my mom passed away, which is kind of a funny story, but yeah.
Funny story. I hope not.
No, I mean, what do you mean funny? Oh, not that she died. That part is not funny, but the story of how they got engaged and they had problems in their relationship. They still worked it out.
It'd only be funny if she died after your dad sat on her. That's a joke, everyone. That's a terrible joke.
All of it, yeah. But yeah. So I think you're right. I think
that's what I'm saying. Is like it's just like the standards for men have changed so dramatically in the last because of social media, because everything is posted. Like there's so much transparency about what are you doing in your life, where are you? Whereas before, it's like you could secure
some girl woman in some small town in Nebraska who happens to be a 10 or whatever, a dime, and she's on social media. Some guy DMs her out of wherever, and she flies out, and you know what I mean? And that's whatever.
But is that guy...
He doesn't care.
Yeah, is that guy going to be with her forever and have children with her and commit only to her?
No,
probably
not.
That's the problem.
Yeah. Well, he's a 10. He's a Chad, you know what I mean?
And honestly, that's I feel for women, because that's a very difficult situation to navigate. That's very hard to slice through all the bullshit that some of these guys are throwing at them. It's hard to slice through all of that bullshit, determine with confidence whether this man actually wants to be with me, or he just wants to
his real intentions,
or he just wants to sleep with me, right? Those two, that's hard to kind of that's hard to dissect with women. And I can see why those type of men really fuck it up for the majority of men.
The normal guys.
Yeah. Well, it's like, how can women navigate that? They're not fortune tellers.
No.
How the fuck are they supposed to know? You know how to talk to women. You know how to sweet talk them. You know how to manipulate them. You know how to, you know what I mean? You know what they want. You find out what they like. You tell them what they want to hear.
It's a form
and then
of
they
lying.
listen to you.
It's a form of lying. They're just lying to the girls, basically.
But I think that really fucks up women too.
Oh, I agree.
And you have to look at both sides. Is those type of men, unfortunately, the kind that Andrew Tate and everybody espouses to be, that kind of man, where you have just incredible abundance. I think that's wrong too. I don't agree with that.
Yeah, I think we're talking about two extremes right now, right?
We are. Yeah.
I think there's a place for Tate in helping men improve their position.
No, let me tell you. You want to get on to Andrew Tate?
Yeah, we could talk about Tate.
You want to talk about Tate?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead. You want to start, or you want to get into it?
No, I was just going to say I think there's a place for him.
Yeah.
For young men that want to, and older men that actually want to improve their lives.
Yeah. And a caveat. Go ahead.
But I think with anything, you have to kind of take it with a grain of salt.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? You can't just like go all like the whole red pill movement. You can't go balls deep into that. You know what I mean? You have to be like, okay, understand it.
Yeah.
Know the signs. Know when you're being like too red pill or too simpy, blue pill, whatever.
Right.
And you have to be like a good ship. You have like a good captain of a ship. You have to be even killed. You have to just ride the storms smoothly as possible.
And I want to start with a caveat, because I think as a man, when you speak about another man, and I'm going to be critical, I mean, right from the get-go, if we were in a position where Andrew Tate would look at us and be like, why are you guys, fuck you guys, like, who the fuck are you to even talk about me? He's correct, right? For the most part. He's a man that, and we can talk about how he got his money. He's at the highest level of wealth, of influence, of fitness. He's a man that's incredibly courageous if you look at it. Even if you don't like him, like I'm going to admit, like you're courageous. You're courageous. You're brave. Let me finish. You're brave, right? You've done things like that the most of us would not take a chance in our career and things like that, right?
Right.
So let me tell you what these guys have done, which we should all appreciate. Like just this, I don't hate this verb, this term, toxic masculinity, toxic feminism, but toxic femininity, toxic feminism, where it sort of, it makes the statement that men are bad, right? That you should be always wary of men, that men are bad, always women first type thing. That is so pervasive in our society, and it's very powerful. It's supported by that narrative that we talked about, right? In order to combat that, so you have this fucking narrative, this pressure coming in from that narrative, right? In order to really match that energy, you have to have somebody like Andrew Tate that comes in.
Yeah.
That's completely like just fucking, his thoughts are wild. He's very straightforward. He calls women hoes. Because that energy needs to be matched, and he is simply matching that energy. So there's a battle going on, and those people, those red pill guys, they're on the front line. They're the fucking Navy SEALs, the bullet catchers that are taking bullets on the front line, whereas everybody in the back has enough comfort and perspective to have a rational response to everything, really think things over. Whereas they are the ones that are actually fighting the battle in the beginning, right? So it's actually a pretty cool, like that's what red pill is. It's fight that energy with the same kind of energy, and it's going to look bad because feminism looks bad. They're like, fuck men. Well, they're like, fuck women. Right. Like, this is why women are bad. And here's some bunch of interviews with a bunch of hoes in Miami or hoes here. And this is how they act, and they'll leave you. So do this, do that, focus on yourself. Feminism is saying the exact same thing. In the opposite way. Right. So that energy needs to be matched. And Hegel, German philosopher Hegel, talked about a dialectic. And this is something that's pervasive in Marxism too. Marx talked about this too. Dialectic is when there's a movement in society in one way, right? So let's talk about feminism. There typically is a counter narrative that forms an equal or greater force that counters it. And the end result of those two narratives is something that's more in between.
Right.
I think we're at the point now in society where me and you, or all these other people that are creating businesses or podcasts, want to represent that middle road.
Yeah,
that's where we want to be. That's where we are with the Hairy Knuckle. Is we're that middle road, but we haven't taken the chances. Like, yeah, and Andrew Tate, you're much more successful than us. We're pieces. We're wimplings and brokies compared to you and all that, right? But we have the comfort to take what all of these fucking red pill guys have said, and they fought that battle, and thank you. But at the same time, I think their time is coming to an end. That's my rant on that.
Yeah. No, you may be right. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, time will tell. Nobody knows, right?
Right. Yeah.
But I think you're right. I think people are tired of, whether it be politics or even sexual dynamics, intersexual dynamics. People are tired of the extremes. They just want to be
middle ground.
Yeah.
And when you're middle ground, you can get everybody to come along. If you're feminists or if you're red pillars, you're always going to be the fringe.
Right.
We need something that's rational, that's realistic, that's
Orra.
Yeah, that's something that expresses more universality, right? In masculine, feminine dynamics, where most people can understand and be with, whether you're Christian, whether you're far left, far right, that everybody would be on
Whether
board
you're
with.
agnostic,
Yeah, it doesn't
Muslim,
matter. Whether you're divorced, whether you're single, whether you're 20, whether you're 50, I think that narrative needs to be pushed where, the majority of people are on board with. And red pill, feminism, this stuff does not. It's always going to be fringe.
Yeah.
It's always going to be fringe. So I think we're at
It's
that
interesting,
point.
though. It's very fascinating stuff.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
I think it is. Yeah. Sorry, I went off on a tangent.
No, that's great. That's where we want you. Tangents.
That's where we want you.
What did you say?
Oh my God. I thought I lost my mic. No, it's not here.
Caricature? You said,
Caricature.
God damn it.
I wonder if this mic is like hitting against my shirt,
Oh.
making a bunch of noise.
When you touch it.
Yeah.
Probably. Who cares?
Yeah.
Man.
So what is your view? I'm curious. So you
On the intersectional dynamics?
yeah,
And
just
the red pill?
Yeah, just kind of playing off of.
Well, I think I've been on all extremes of that. I think I've been like an extreme feminist at one level, at one point in my life. And then I've definitely been red pilled. Certainly.
I wonder who did that to you.
Yeah, I wonder.
Yeah.
Fascinating. And so I've come out of that and I'm like, I see the extremes and I see where I'm at. And I'm like, my opinion is somewhere in the middle.
Right.
Like, I believe I believe women should be able to do whatever they want to do. You know what I mean? I believe men should be able to do whatever they want to do as well. What is interesting though is I don't think the narrative on I talk about evolutionary psychology a lot, but
Yeah, you like Terrorbound, don't you?
I do. I love it. I just finished reading this book by David Buss, Evolution of Desire. He's been studying for 20 plus years, and this book has been in print. I think the first edition came out it's been updated recently in like the last few years, but he studied a bunch of cultures, and I don't think women and men fully understand how they live their lives impacts each other on an evolutionary wavelength. Well, here's an example. Here's an extreme example, actually. Men want to have a relationship with a woman, but they are a long-term relationship with a woman, but they also, they date, multiple women, but they are off-put by, for example, let's talk about body count, right? Men don't want to have a long-term relationship with a woman that has a significant body count, but they'll sleep with that woman, which is interesting.
I mean, it depends on the male, right?
No, I think
when you say men,
no, but I think
there are men.
No, there's been studies on this, and
no, I'm saying that the studies are that
we're talking about the rule, not the extremes.
Yeah, but I think the study was the percentage that the relationship lasts, not the fact that men don't.
No, that's a different study altogether. That's the Wolfinger study, which hopefully we can get him on one day. But this is David Buss, and he studied like 37 cultures all over the world. And
a lot of those 90% of men, they're okay with being in a woman with high body count because they don't have options. That's the point.
That's the thing, but they don't like it. They don't prefer it. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I think if they were in a position to choose,
yeah, they would.
If they were in a position to choose, most men would choose.
It's the same thing with women and men. Like women would prefer to have if a multimillionaire woman would prefer to have a man that made more than her.
Yeah.
And if the guy had a choice between the same woman that had a high body count versus a low, he would want the low because that's evolutionary. Evolutionary, that's what's speaking to it.
Yeah. All I'm saying is a lot of men don't have options.
Yeah.
So they literally don't exercise that part of them to where if they can get a woman, if they can get any woman's attention, a woman that will go out with them and stay in a relationship with them, they're okay with that. And there's a large percentage of men. But the men that have options, I 100% agree.
Yeah.
They'd prefer to be with a woman that hasn't gone through the burdens of relationship out of relationship. And it's not just bodies. I hate that fucking word.
It's a terrible word.
I hate that word.
I just use it.
It's such a stupid red pill. Like, I hate it, dude.
Yeah.
I hear it. I'm like, something like my nephew, like, you know what I mean? Like, I just don't like that. It's a woman that men don't like that because the percentage, like the probability that the relationship is going to last and be a committed long-term relationship it just becomes diminished. And if you're a man that's worked hard in life and you've built something, you don't want to risk being with somebody that's going to take that all away from you or take half.
No.
So why would you want to? So you have to, as a man, make those calculated decisions And women that have been with a lot of different men, it's not the fact that we want to slut shame them. That's not what we want to do.
No,
But we're saying that woman, over time, every single one of those one night stands, every single one of those few week little flings, those are all mini relationships. And in a way, a woman just becomes sort of
desensitized.
Yeah. Desensitized in being committed to one man, right? Because they've realized all of these different options, and they have what's something where you have a lot of, I'm blanking,
Opportunities, options.
Yeah, they have a ton of tough and different, bunch of different options.
I think, I mean, kind of going back on to what we were talking about earlier, I think the optionality that women share amongst themselves versus the optionality of men share amongst themselves, women have many more options than men.
Yeah.
For a relationship.
Oh yeah, 100%. But what do they have options for? For sex?
Probably both. I think men in general are just, for lack of a better term, are desperate for anything.
I think you're right. I think you're right.
I think that's why, like, not that word, but depression amongst men is at an all-time high.
Yeah.
The potential for them to engage in self-deleting them, whatever, is very high. Much higher than in men than in women.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think men are faced with a very unique set of problems.
Modern problems didn't really occur to our fathers or our grandfathers.
Yeah, no, they didn't. They didn't.
It's a different world.
Yeah, and there's a lot going into that. But like for Orra AI, our dating app, we've leveled the playing field with regard to,
in a good way.
Yeah, with regard to
way.
Those two problems where men and women are limited to very few matches a day. You cannot get over a certain amount of matches. And for the free version, it's just one match, one match a day. And there's a probability that you might not even get that match. I think that's such an important thing in dating. And it's going to be an experiment if that actually works.
And by doing so, we're encouraging engagement and a certain level of bonding.
Yeah.
Because if you look at a traditional app where you just have like swipe after swipe, and you can potentially be texting 12 people one day.
Yeah. That's not a conversation.
There's no depth there.
You
don't have time for that.
Going back, and I know I keep going back to this, the chat room. I've had experience with this. Like chat rooms. When I was 14, 15 years old, I would spend hours on these chat rooms. There was no pictures. People would describe themselves in their profiles. You go to it and be like, blonde hair, blue eyes, 5'4", fit, athletic build. And that's literally their profile. No picture, nothing. You just take their word for it. Then you speak to this person, and you could spend hours, weeks, months, years speaking to this person, not knowing what they look like. But at the same time, after a few months, after you speak with this person every single day, and you look forward to it, and you have commonalities, once you see their picture, it's less of an influence on how you actually feel about them.
Right.
I think that's great. What is that? Like, what is that? What's going on there? Because that's the opposite of what's going on right now, right? Tinder is no conversation, all pictures. Whereas back then, when it was just chat rooms, AOL chat and Yahoo chat, it was no pictures, all chat. But there was still a level of bonding that you don't see right now.
No.
And it's like getting to know that person. Like that's really powerful. And with bringing up Orra AI again, like that's the last thing that you see is the person's picture. And that's only if we sense engagement with them chatting with one another, because we want to really get that chat room feel from the 90s where you're speaking with people that you can have good banter with in conversation, not putting any importance on what they look like.
Yeah.
Like that's pretty powerful. And you see their picture and you're like, wait, I get along with this person. I like talking with this person. This person's great. They make me happy. I look forward to talking with them. Okay, she's 30 pounds overweight, or he's, he has a receding hairline now that I've seen his picture. But you know what? I can look past that because I like everything else. He makes me happy, or she makes me happy.
Yeah, but don't we solve for that at some level, though? We do solve.
We do.
Or solves that
because appearance is very important. Let's get real.
Like it is. You have to be like sexually attracted to the woman man you're interested.
You're right.
in. Right?
We do solve for that.
So we do solve for that at some level.
Yeah,
but
we do.
But we're encouraging people to actually form, to at least communicate,
Yeah.
form some sort of relationship.
I might not have been clear there,
Yeah.
but it's not as if we're saying, hey, you're an extremely attractive woman. This is not a very attractive man, but let's try to bond and like connect chat wise.
Yeah.
No, that's not what we're doing.
No.
We're matching people that match on an appearance level as well. We're
Right.
taking that into consideration. That's a big part of the algorithm.
The 4Fs.
Yeah.
The fitness, finance,
family, fortitude. Yeah,
right.
but appearance is a big part of that
Yeah,
too. That's values. Other part of it is an appearance that we're taking into consideration. So that's a big part of it as well.
Our fourth viewer in Nebraska is going to go, these guys are real. These guys are normal. They need a break. They're not going to edit every goddamn word.
Yeah.
Actually, I kind of like the idea of that.
What?
We just leave like downtime in it.
Downtime in the podcast? Nobody has time to listen to our downtime.
Dude, some guy's got to take a leak while we're doing this.
You cut that out, I think.
No, let them take a leak. He's just like, he's making farting noises in the bathroom right now.
Did you just say farting?
Yes.
So yeah, I don't know. The relationships are just there's so much going on right now. It's so interesting too. I like the connection between the evolution of social media from MySpace to Facebook to
Remember Second Life?
Instagram to Snapchat. I don't know what Second Life is.
Almost like an avatar bait. Sorry.
No, you go ahead.
Go ahead, finish.
No, let's talk about Second Life. You brought it up.
Oh man, it came out early 2000s,
Yeah.
2000s, and it was like digital world where you could walk through.
How many people are on that though? I've never heard of that.
I don't know. Somebody knows. I think it may still be up, but you have an avatar that's you, and you can go talk to people.
Oh yeah, I'm talking about like the actual evolution of social media that most people use, right?
Mm-hmm.
How many people have a Facebook? A lot of people. How many people have MySpace? A lot of people. If you go from MySpace to Facebook to Instagram to Snapchat to TikTok, and then how that translates into dating, right? I think it's just very similar, like the parallels between social media and how we interact with one another and dating. Like it's so similar. It's like it's vastly similar.
I mean, TikTok is like really quick. So you've heard of people make fun of TikTok brain, right? Where everything has to be like this, and you have people. I mean, there's probably people go on dates that are expecting a click like that. Like you should have a certain level of chemistry. I get that, but I don't know.
Is it for dating, TikTok?
I mean, I've always had the opinion that like you should go on at least three dates before you make a decision.
No,
I mean, sometimes you like
TikTok is for dating.
No. I was referring to TikTok brain. Have you heard of that term?
Oh, okay, yeah.
Because everything's so quick on TikTok.
Yeah.
Or I don't know if they've increased their duration of how long you can have a video on it, but like a lot of young people had TikTok brain. It's like had to happen right then and there. They didn't ADHD. They didn't have the attention span, to actually fully engage.
Yeah, but young people, man, I feel sorry. I look at my nieces and nephews and stuff, and they have it tough, man. Like this last 5 years, even, it's tough for everyone. Like
I worry about. So I have 3 sons.
Yeah,
I worry about them. Actually,
it's tough.
I think about them a lot. I'm like, geez.
They're placed in very crazy dating culture and like living like just affording a home,
right?
Or just living, like being independent is really difficult right now. Just navigating everything is so hard right now. Like I really feel for them, honestly. A lot of people make fun of Gen Z. I think they have it tough. There's a lot of propaganda manipulation to that specific group of people, that generation.
I would agree.
More so than any other generation. They're propagandized significantly more. Significantly. Like they are under so much manipulation that I think it's horrific. I don't think any generation that's ever lived has been under more pressure than Gen Z with regard to social media influences, government influences, opposite sex influences. Like everything is like so pressurized and so against them.
Right.
Like everything is against them, and they're responding quite well. I'm actually kind of hopeful. A lot of people are like, oh, it's just a crazy TikTok generation, but I don't think so. I think
Yeah.
there's something really important, something actually very unique about this generation, because there's a lot of kids that are a lot smarter than what the media and everybody's telling you. These kids have seen a lot, and given that they're under so much pressure and so much manipulation, they're doing actually quite well, I think. But yeah, it'd be cool to get comments, man. I'm looking forward to like what we should be doing better.
Yeah. Also, if you have any subjects that you want us to address, we'd love to know. Because we can actually we could actually bring a lot of people in. And we're going to be doing that. We've been brainstorming and creating a list of people that we know that we want to bring in, people we want to talk to and or visit, actually.
Yeah, well, I'm kind of curious, like if anybody's watching, if anybody's out there, I'm kind of curious, like these topics that we're talking about. I mean, we're not experts in the field, right?
Yeah.
We sit here and pontificate. We cross our legs. We drink this coffee, and we simply, as honestly as we can, we try to give you guys a perspective from our own personal lives. And I think what I want to hear in the comment section is like all these different topics that we're talking about. Like, what is your experience? Like, how are you relating to this? Like, what's your own situation with regard to, for example, like, you know, dating on these swipe-based apps, or, you know, our perspective on Gen Z, or our perspective that there is this larger narrative that's really ruining masculine, feminine dynamics. Like, how do you guys feel about that? Like, what do you agree with? What don't you agree with? What are your own anecdotes? I think that'd be cool. Like,
Yeah.
I'd love to know like people's opinions and things like that, and hear their own stories. That's what we're here for. Like, we want to hear.
Yeah.
We're on this journey.
This
same
isn't
time as you guys.
necessarily our podcast. This is your podcast. We want to make this everybody's podcast.
Yeah, we're just hairy knucklers, man. We're all in
Yeah.
this together.
You're just trying to figure it out with our hairy knuckles.
Yeah,
Yeah.
only one here that has a hairy knuckle.
No, mine are just blonde.
White,
They're blonde.
white knuckles,
No, they're gray, white haired.
gray white hairs.
They're there. A little bit of peach fuzz.
Yeah, you're growing that beard
That should
out.
be our intro. Your left hand, and mine together. Bring it up. Pull it in there. Do it. No,
What?
your left hand.
Why?
That's gonna be our.
You're a dork. You're a dork.
Yeah.
What an odd couple, though. People are like, "What the hell?
What
How do
the
these
hell are these two?
have these two guys, Mormon dad of 3 children, and then this guy that looks like fucking Saeed off of Lost." Like, what in the hell are these two guys chilling together and starting a podcast? I have no idea.
Yeah.
I don't choose my friends; they choose me.
We were throwing. It's a great thing that we were throwing in the back of that office.
It's good times.
Yeah.
I think it's about an hour.
Yeah. If you want to make a donation as well, that'd be
A donation. We're broke. Brokies. Andrew Tate brokies.
No. This is the male.
No,
this is the male version of OF.
Oh, I know, right? We show a lot less leg.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I could show more leg, I guess.
I bet you
I don't know
could.
if you want to
We'd get some
see all
donations
this hair.
there. Oh yeah, get those pale legs out there, blinding all the
Yeah.
Indian.
We'll have to turn down the lights in here a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. That will. Anyways, thanks for watching, guys.
Yeah. Thank you.
Appreciate it. It's been fun.
Yep.
Peace out.
See ya.